Hi, I'm Ben. My girlfriend isn't happy with me all the time, but there's nothing I can do about it. Alice is always telling me that I don't pay enough attention to her, but it's not as easy as it sounds. I have to do this. It's hard to lead a double life. I've been going out with my girlfriend for a year now. She is very beautiful, accustomed to the attention of guys, wants to be worshipped. I'm just a regular guy, and that's why I've often thought that I'm not good enough for her. Besides, Alice has a rich father who fulfills all her whims and desires. Sometimes I even wonder why she chose me. Recently, she started nagging me again. We were supposed to meet yesterday, and you were busy again. Yesterday, Chris told me we were going to have a surprise anatomy midterm. I had to get ready and learn the formulas. When Alice gets offended, she always pouts her lips so funny. I love her, so I ignore the fact that she sometimes gets mad at me. Especially since I realise she could have picked someone better than me. In fact, I'm in the fidelity check business. I set up fake accounts on social media, and those who want to test their other half contact me. I start a conversation with them, and because of the pretty pictures, many people fall for it. For these checks, I take money. While I study at university, this is my main income. After receiving an order, I have to correspond with different people, and that takes a lot of time and effort. But Alice doesn't know that. I don't think she would like it. In fact, that's how I met her, and now my secret is gnawing away at me. One day, I was approached by a guy. He wrote and asked to know if his girlfriend had another young man. I charged him and started communicating. From the avatar of the account, a very beautiful girl was looking at me. With those bottomless blue eyes, I liked her immediately. But I'm not used to mixing work and personal life. As I chatted with Alice, I realised that I liked her a lot. I wanted to date her, woo her, and spend time together. I found out she didn't have a boyfriend right now, so I started texting her from my page. But I couldn't admit that I was checking her out at her boyfriend's request. You're a very beautiful girl, also from a good family. How come you don't have a boyfriend? I was still trying to get her to come clean. Who was the one who approached me for the services? I used to date a guy from uni, but he got so annoying. He was boring. So I decided to break up with him. I understand. And for how long? Just about 6 months ago, but he still can't let me get away. Stuck to me like a tick. His pathological jealousy drives me crazy. That's when it all made sense to me who this guy was. Then I thought it was a good thing she didn't know what my part-time job was. My job was taking up a lot of time, and to be with my girlfriend, I needed the money. Going to the movies, taking her out to dinner, and gifts weren't cheap. I started working more, but I didn't pay much attention to Alice. We began to drift apart somehow. One evening, I still decided to meet with her and asked her out, but I was in for a surprise. That night, my girlfriend broke up with me. Oh my God, what did I do wrong? I had no choice but to start checking on my own, already former girlfriend. After waiting a while, I started writing to her on behalf of the fake. At first, Alice declined my requests, but I was persistent, and then she responded to me. Hi, let's get acquainted. Hi, you're very stubborn. I'm sorry, but I don't want to get acquainted. Oh, you probably have a boyfriend, right? Yeah, and he's very jealous. Bye. I realised that my world was falling apart. I mean, we had just broken up, and she already had a boyfriend. She was disgusting. I couldn't believe I'd been so wrong about someone. I needed to know who he was, and for that, I suggested that she just hung out with him as friends. Alice was fine with that. In the meantime, I was already plotting my revenge. I imagined that I would start dating the prettiest girl at uni, and if I met her randomly, I would show Alice how great we were. Then I imagined that she would introduce me to her boyfriend, and I would beat him up. I couldn't find my place. And then one day Alice texted me, or rather her fake account, that she wasn't in the mood and wanted to talk, and I was just waiting for that. We started texting. That's when I realised. I recently broke up with my boyfriend. I feel so bad. I'm sorry to write you this, but I need someone to talk to. You know, Ben was so good. He was probably the most wonderful person in my life. When I heard my name, I just fell into a stupor. I mean, when she said she had a boyfriend, she meant me, and I was such a fool. I started accusing her of all these deadly sins. I so wanted to reveal myself and tell her everything and ask her to be with me. But I turned out to be a liar who also wanted revenge. I was horrible. I didn't even know what to say to her. I want to see him so much, but I'm the one who left him. How am I going to ask to see him now? I miss Ben. Even though he was the most ordinary guy, I fell in love with him. I didn't need him to be rich or a supermodel. To me, he was the most handsome. Tears came to my eyes. How stupid I'd been. I kept telling myself that I was not handsome enough for her, not enough money, and that I can't offer her anything. I'm just a student. But she opened my eyes. I did not want to understand that she loves me just for who I am. She didn't want more than that. She just wanted to be with me more often. The next day, I deleted all my work pages. I ran out of the house in the morning, brought a huge bouquet of flowers, and headed for Alice's house. I was flying on the wings of love, thinking that I could finally hold her in my arms. But when I arrived at her house, I was told that half an hour ago, she had left for the airport with her father. They were leaving for another country where Alice would be staying to study. My eyes went so dark, and it was hard to breathe. I realised I couldn't just let her go, not like this. I have to stop her. I jumped into a passing cab and asked for a quick ride to the airport. The fear that I wouldn't make it was like a cold chain. Hurry, hurry, hurry! I ran into the building and started looking for Alice with my eyes, amongst the passengers. The flight was boarding, and I was standing in the middle of the lounge with a shabby bouquet of roses, out of breath and dishevelled. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder, the same small, gentle hand I rarely held. I turned around and saw her. My girlfriend's eyes were wet with tears. I couldn't contain my emotions. I'm sorry, I was a fool. I love you. I want you to stay with me. I thought you just didn't need me. You were always so busy. You didn't have time for me. I need you. It's just that I was moonlighting, but I was too embarrassed to tell you about it. I never wanted to break up with you. And I didn't want to either. Alice's father flew on his own to take care of business matters. So we went home. We spent the whole weekend together, and I told her about my job. At first, Alice pouted, but then she hugged me and said it was for the best, because that's how we found each other and fell in love. Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to give likes, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.
Hello everyone, my name is Christina, and my dream came true since childhood, to have big breasts. I myself cannot believe that I have achieved the goal, but it is so. Now I will tell you everything in more detail. I am waiting for your comments under the video, and from your side, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll start with the fact that when I was little, I liked to try on adult outfits. I loved to spin for hours in front of the mirror, imagining that I was going somewhere beautiful at a chic event and everyone was admiring me. Once my mother was changing in front of me and I noticed her breasts. I was wondering why I don't have them, and my mother just said that they will grow up. I couldn't believe that I would ever have such beautiful breasts like hers. Mom put on a black bra and a black blouse. It looked just awesome. I asked what a bra is for, and my mother said that it emphasizes the breasts. Plus, it is an important attribute of any girl. I lit up, asked to try some on, but she just laughed. And when my mom left, I immediately reached into her locker, took another one, tried it on myself, and it looked ridiculous. At that moment, I really wanted my breasts to grow faster. I began to dream about it. What was the first thing I did? Of course, I went on the internet, where I read methods for breast augmentation. But I needed them to grow first. When I was 11 years old, I felt a strange sensation inside me. The place where my chest should be, it hurt. I felt some seals and complained to my mother. We went to the hospital, where they told us that my breasts were starting to grow. This news made me so happy. Could I also wear beautiful underwear? I waited for a whole year, 2, 3, and my breasts certainly grew, but it was not what I wanted. They were little. My mother told me to be patient and not to rush things, assuring me that everything has its time. But I couldn't wait to get my mom's bras. I went back to the internet and started looking at recipes for breast augmentation. One of the safest comments on the forum was, "You should eat cabbage." Well, then you understand what I did. Yes, I ate this vegetable for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't really like cabbage, and when I sat on the cabbage menu for a week, I was already starting to feel sick at the very thought. Plus, I was experiencing eternal bloating. I didn't know that this vegetable could smell so bad. I had a hard time and I gave it up. I then came across another ad on the internet that said breasts can be enlarged by operation. Of course, the advertising looked spectacular. The pictures before and after were inspiring, but damn, I wasn't 18 years old yet. And who will give me such money for my chest? In addition, you need to be examined, and this requires parental permission. My mother will definitely not give it to me. She will call me crazy. Then I was looking for something else, and I found it. Some clinic raffled off breasts. It was something like an auction, but you needed to go through a couple of stages of participation in a competition. I realized that this was my real chance. I immediately registered on the site, wrote a letter, indicated my goal and preferences. I wanted a size 3 breast. I thought it would fit me. So what's the big deal for me? After all, I knew I would also grow, but I wanted ready-made breasts. I did not want to have to wait. The first stage was to subscribe to all your accounts on the clinic's page, write comments, make reposts, and so on. It was the easiest. The second one needed money. I do not know the exact amount, but the starting price of the breast was $200. I know it's not much money compared to how much the operation actually costs, but I didn't even have that money. The auction was scheduled in 3 weeks, and this meant that I had to collect this amount and more than the starting amount in a short time. I immediately ran to look for a part-time job. First of all, I agreed with my mother that she would pay me $5 a day for housework. She knew I hated cleaning, but she was interested in my suggestion, so we agreed. This meant that in 3 weeks, I could earn $105. A little, but better than nothing. Now I came home and quickly did my homework, then started cleaning, then ran to the neighbors and walked their dogs. I sold lemonades, cookies a couple of times, cleaned the yards of my grandmothers in the district, for which I also received money. Plus, I asked my father to give me money for my future birthday and give me the gift in advance. He agreed, giving me $50. In general, I was getting closer to the goal, and it was good. 3 weeks seemed like a hell of a lot, but I respected myself for having managed to save as much as $450. I was afraid to go alone, so I took a friend with me, and we went to the auction. The day before, I was very worried and nervous. I even thought that I might have changed my mind. The realization that I would voluntarily go under the knife was frightening, but I was striving for a dream, and beauty requires sacrifices. Investments were sobering. So we arrived at the appointed place and looked around in surprise. I imagined a decent place with a lot of people, a large hall where, in addition to the breasts, perhaps something else would be played. But it was a terrible neighborhood. There was a garbage dump nearby. Even rats ran through it. Cheryl, my friend, asked if we were here, but unfortunately, we were. We knocked on the iron door. It was opened by some guy who asked who we were and why we came. I said that we came for the auction, and he opened the door and invited us inside. I was uneasy, but we went in anyway. The hall was more like a venue for a gathering of dirty rockers. It stank terribly. It was dark and suspicious. But I thought that maybe they do it on purpose. Suddenly they have such a style of work. Surprisingly, I was the only one of the participants. I was immediately asked how much money there is. I called the amount, and they took the money and gave me a certificate. Congratulations! Thanks to the certificate, you will be able to have the operation performed in our clinic. And that was all. They explained that since there were no people, I was the only one who wanted to, and so I won. I came home happy, but there was still some doubt inside. My mother came into my room and saw the certificate. What? What is this? I told her everything as it was. My mother sat down on the bed and said, "My daughter, you have been deceived." What? It can't be. They even have their own website, I said, but when I went on the page, it no longer existed. You're lucky they didn't do anything to you. You should have told me, my mother said. I was very upset. I cried. I was sorry for the money, but nothing can be fixed. I've learned that lesson forever, but my breasts are still growing. I hope they will be the way I want them to be.